Jeremy, whose cards can't be put on the table?
The Windrush generation. Now, this is a very sad and disturbing story about people of Commonwealth heritage who are British having to leave the country because their papers they suddenly find aren't in order. Now, this is all because of Theresa May's hostile environment. The Tories came in 2010 and they wanted a hostile environment towards illegal immigrants. And illegal just doesn't mean you're a criminal. You know, it's not serious like video piracy. Illegal immigrants just means you haven't got the right papers or someone in officialdom doesn't take to you. That's all it means. But the trouble is, when you pander to people's fears, you do not allay them, you stoke those fears, and you provide cover to racist organisations like Britain First and the Home Office. So then we had this period, which was still going on, where people can't rent flats because, you know, people don't want to rent them, and people have been denied surgery because of this. And weeks and weeks ago, Corbyn raised the issue of a gentleman who was denied cancer treatment to Theresa May in the Commons, and she didn't really get the point of it. And she normally ends up, in any reply to Corbyn, she makes a dig about something that was done by the last Labour government, which was egregious, which kind of makes his case for being the leader now. But of course, he can't really say, I know they were rubbish, that's why I'm here, because most of his MPs don't agree with that. But what... and it's all rebounded, and now they're having to say, oh, no, we love these people, they've done all this work and we didn't mean it. And she had to make a speech where she said, when I spoke in 2013 and said, I think you lot should all bugger off back where you come from, I had no idea that it would rebound in this way. She also signed off the racist van, which went round North London. We wouldn't put up with it in South London. But this van, although one of her mates said, oh, no, she was in the lab when it happened. She missed that, or she was on holiday. She was on holiday and they did it when she was away. The racist van that went round North London with Go Home on the side of it. And her only comment about that was that it was something of a blunt instrument. I didn't even know it was supposed to hit people. I thought it was just an implied threat.
Felicity, how do you stand on this as a visitor to these shores?
A visitor? How dare you? I'm an immigrant. It's hard to stomach that all of these landing cards were just destroyed in an office move. I'm assuming that the Home Office were just moving further to the right. And when I first heard about Theresa May, I was like, oh my God, she's really going to give it to whoever was Home Secretary in 2010. And then I realised it was her. I'm like, this is like an Eddie Murphy movie. She's just playing every part.
It does remind you of that. Do you remember that old joke where someone say, oh, my mum had to go home, and you go, Jamaica? Like, no, our horrible government did.
Michael, how do you feel about this?
Theresa May actually has found another Home Secretary to blame for, and it's not even a Labour one, because while she was in the Commons this week, she actually said the decision was taken in 1971 not to require the Windrush generation to have documentation. That's what led to the problem we see now. So there you go. That is the real culprit. It's Reginald Maudling, who was Home Secretary in 1971. And all I can say is I really hope she will order him to come to Parliament to explain himself. Admittedly, he did die in 1979, but I hope she won't take any excuses. I think Reginald Maudling has got a lot of questions to answer, and if he has to answer them by Ouija board, then so be it.
The idea that this is all a big surprise is just unravelling because of all these warnings that they've had, and that the Home Office was actually giving guidelines, helpful travel guides to people it was throwing out of the country, the Spiteful Planet Guide. Put on a Jamaican accent when we send you to Jamaica. Now, if they haven't got a Jamaican accent and they've got a British accent, what does that tell you about these people? It's like when they send gay people back to Iran and say, oh, for God's sake, just try not to camp up, you know. Just go around eyeing up birds going, oh, ain't I would, ain't wallet, and then they might not kill you.
I mean, don't you think this must be incredibly frustrating for Theresa May? I don't think she's racist. She just assumes the entire British public is racist, and therefore she says these things in the hope of winning votes. So, I mean, behind closed doors right now, she must be saying, there is no bloody pleasing you people, is there? You all told me you wanted me to kick out the foreigners, and then when I kick out the foreigners, you get angry and tell me I've got to bring back the foreigners. Even the Daily Mail is saying I've got to bring back the foreigners. Would you make the minds up?
These are the problems being faced by the Windrush generation, who, as a result of reforms introduced by Theresa May when she was Home Secretary, now face repeated requests to prove their right to remain and have, in some cases, been deported despite being British citizens. In fairness, Theresa May was a completely different person back then, one who still had hope. Many people now face having to prove that they've lived in the UK for the past 50 years. If I had to prove I've lived in the UK my whole life, I'd have trouble. I went totally off-grid between 1999 and 2002, living off the land, communing with the earth, brawling with farmhands and car parks for money. Better days, simpler times. Theresa May recently apologised to Caribbean leaders. Jamaica Prime Minister Andrew Holness said he accepted the apology but found it uncomfortable when she tried to ingratiate herself by donning a Rasta wig and downing 3 bottles of reggae sauce. Before muttering something uncertain about UB40. After all this, Theresa May further slipped down the list of Britain's best-loved Mays. She was already below James May and Brian May, and has now sunk below the May in the sentence, "Your test results may suggest the presence of syphilis." 2 points to Jeremy.